Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm going to show you how to make a button headband for nurses. This headband helps hold the elastic off your ears. So what the headband is made out of is just a strip of fabric that's tied in a square knot in the back, and it looks like this when it's untied. We're going to make this today. In your kit, you should have a spool of thread with a needle and 4 pins, a bunch of buttons, some small pieces of cotton fabric, and some pieces of stretchy fabric. These are cut at 4 by 30 inches, but different fabrics take different cuts. So if you're working with different fabric, you'll have to cut it differently, but everything in your kit should be pre-cut. What we're going to do with the fabric is fold it in thirds. But before we do that, we're going to fold it in half the long way, or the hamburger way, as teachers like to say it. We're going to use a washable marker. If you don't have a washable marker, you can use a ballpoint pen or a pencil. We're going to mark the middle of the fabric where I just folded it in half, and then we're going to use a ruler. You're going to have to provide your own ruler. We're going to look at the bag that your kit came in. This one says 5 1/4. That means you mark the space for the button at 5 1/4. For folks who don't remember how to use a ruler, the half is right in the middle and the quarter is the next biggest mark. So that's what I want to use for this particular headband. Each fabric has a different amount of stretch, and so you'll see there will be different numbers on each bag, depending on what kind of fabric's in there. So I'm going to mark 5 1/4 on the other side so I know where to put the button. Try to make your marks pretty small. And then we're going to fold it in thirds the long way. And as we fold it in thirds the long way, we're going to put these little pieces of cotton fabric in there. Yours might look a little bit different, be a different color. And we're going to put them where we marked for our buttons. My mark's right there. So I'm going to center my piece of cotton fabric right there. And it doesn't matter which side is facing. These are just to keep the buttons from tearing out of the stretchy fabric. They make the fabric a little bit stronger, and the button will stay on a little bit longer. So I'm going to put my other piece of fabric there. I'm going to fold it in thirds, a little bit less than a third, a little bit more than a third here, and a little bit less than a third here. We want the raw edge to be hidden. And then I'm going to kind of feel where my piece of cotton fabric is. Use my pins here. I go in and then out. And then I go in and then out. And kind of feel to make sure your pins are on that cotton fabric. It shouldn't stretch so much right here. If I pull it right there, it doesn't stretch, and that means I'm into the cotton fabric. Now I'm going to see where I should put my button. That's about where I should put my button. And it's okay if it's not centered perfectly. I gave you some extra length in the cotton fabric. So now it's time to thread our needle. You can pin the other side as well, but I'll just start sewing here. Use a little bit of the beeswax that came in your kit to make the end a little bit stiffer. Don't lick your fingers, don't lick your thread, use your beeswax. And then just thread your needle. Your stiffened thread with the beeswax in there should thread nicely. I need to cheat here and it's a little bit closer to my old eyes. Pull your needle through about the length of your elbow. This is only going to sew one button. If you want to do a little bit longer and do 2 buttons on one sort of needle thread, you can do that, but your thread will get tangled more. So today I'm just going to show you threading the needle for each button. Get your fingers a little bit sticky on your beeswax. The heat of your fingers will melt it a little bit. If they're a little bit sticky, you can make a really good knot here. You just roll the thread along your fingers and pull, and it makes a nice knot. I'll show you that again. Wrap it around your fingers and roll. This one I'm not going to pull into a knot. do it at the end and then just pull it into a knot. It beats tying it over and over again. So right now I'm going to try to poke through. I'm going to go from the back, go to the front. So I'm poking through right at my mark, and I'm going to center my button right here. If your buttons don't match perfectly, it's okay. I'm going to thread a button right down there, and then just go through a couple times. 2 or 3 is good. I can take my pins out now. I go through twice, and then there's a trick for making a little space behind the button. I'm going to come up through, but I'm not going to go through the button this time. I'm just going to sneak behind the button. Oops. And then I'm going to go around the button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That creates a little bit of roll of thread right there. And that makes a little bit of space between the button and the thread, and that makes room for the elastic and helps the button stay on longer. Now I'm going to finish what I started here. Go 3 loops of thread here, and then I'll make 3 loops of thread going the other direction. If you have a button that only has 2 holes, I would make about 5 loops, so 5 passes on a button. And just kind of feel your way through. Let your needle kind of find the hole. This takes a little bit of practice. You can cheat and kind of see the hole there if you can't get your needle through, if you can't find the hole with your needle. Oops, that's okay. You can just unstick it. I'm going to make one more pass through the other side, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. You can make more passes if you want to, but for the sake of brevity on the video, I'm going to finish up here. I'm just going to slide it under. You don't actually need to make a knot. This stretchy fabric works pretty well. Just slide it through a little bit of the fabric and pull it through and kind of make a little stitch there. And do that about 3 times to kind of make a stopper on the back. And then just cut it off. Repeat the same procedure for the other button here. Put your thread in. You can pin it out. You can do all the pinning at once, or you can just, I'll slide my pins in again. Go through once. Make sure you're through the cotton fabric. You can kind of feel it. Pin the other side, and then we're just going to sew a button on right here. When you're done, you can leave them untied and just put them back in the bag you got them from. And when you're done, please give back the thread, the 4 pins, the needle, and any buttons that you didn't use, and the beeswax, and any of these little cotton things you didn't use. Thank you so much. I appreciate your volunteering, and the nurses and doctors whose ears you're saving, thank you as well.